Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in, all that good stuff. We got a lot to talk about this morning. And let's rewind a couple of days, fellas.
Are we sure we want to? Do we want to rewind?
It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. Beat UTEP. Y'all's thoughts?
I thought it was a problematic performance.
I'm wearing my tushy today.
I thought it was a problematic performance for the Texas Longhorn offense in particular. While they did move the ball, they didn't move it with effectiveness for much of the game. They had the same red zone problems that we saw previously. They had the same third down problems we saw. So I'm looking at it, and they said they had some of the same quarterback problems we've seen. I don't know what it is with the offense, but I think, and I wrote this morning on ontexasfootball.com, I think the offense in this season is clearly at a crossroads. I really believe that. And I'm not talking about necessarily this game against Sam Houston State that's coming up. I'm talking about period.
Yeah.
Because if this offense isn't more than this, Longhorns aren't going to be able to win games 7-3.
No.
And this offense didn't look like it could move the ball against a decent defense. And UTEP had some, did some funky things and all that stuff, but it wasn't enough, or it's not enough to compete with the Floridas and LSUs or Oklahomas of the world on and what they will do to you on defense, physically and fundamentally. So I think that we are now at a stage of a crossroads where Arch Manning, Steve Sarkisian, the personnel at Texas, whether that's the offensive line, the wide receivers, the running backs, whoever, it's time to step up. There's no more playing around. It's time to get going. Football season is here. You played 3 of your 12 games. You're 1/4 of the way through the season, and your offense hasn't looked very good the entire season. So it's either now or never, in my opinion. So that's I truly believe this season now, from a offensive perspective, is at a crossroads. Now or never. It's time to put up or shut up.
Yeah,
otherwise they're just going to be a run-of-the-mill SEC team that tries to win games 20-17 or 17-13. No, they're not going to have playoff aspirations.
Well, we talked about that last night, Rod and I. LSU may be able to get to the playoffs doing that because Garrett Nussmeier is he had a bad interception against Florida. I get it, but he's an experienced quarterback and he's playing pretty well. They may be able to do, but that's really hard to do in general. We'll see if they can get there doing that. I think LSU's offensive line has to play better to that point. But I was just saying, we were talking about that. That's extremely hard to do nowadays in college football at a SEC or a Big Ten. So Sam Houston State's a bad team. They're 0-3. So I'm kind of putting this out here for a reason. They lost 37-20, I believe, to Hawaii. They lost 41-something to Western Kentucky. They're 0-3, and they're really bad on defense. So Texas can go out there and have success moving the ball, scoring the ball against this team, and it doesn't mean the issues are solved. That's the one thing. I don't think they're going to be solved in one game at all. So I want to put that out there. Now, if Texas goes out and struggles offensively against Sam Houston State, that is going to be the most concerning thing all season.
That'll be a further indictment.
Yeah, that'll be bad.
Well, Jerry, it's not just how I want to say this. It's not just moving the ball against Sam Houston State, just like it wasn't just moving the ball against.
It doesn't mean everything's corrected.
It's about how you move the ball.
Well, I think against a bad team, you potentially can do whatever, and you're going to score 50, and it can look good, but it doesn't mean your issues are solved when you're going to Florida and then playing Oklahoma back to back. That's the problem. Now if Texas struggles for a quarter and a half offensively against this Sam Houston team, that's going to be the most alarming thing all season. My biggest issue is I see Arch is just at a complete collapse in confidence. I've told this or said this to on multiple shows. Go back and watch the Mississippi State game last week if you have a chance this year.
Last year, you mean?
Last year, this week, if you have a chance. And just notice the difference. The confidence, the swagger. He's getting hit in the midsection, throwing 55-yard bomb over the top. Just look at the throws he made in that game and look at the kind of, I don't know, the moxie and everything he had. And that will tell you what you've seen is a total collapse in confidence. And once your confidence gets shaky, everything breaks down. And that's what we've seen. You cannot go back and watch the Mississippi State game last year and then watch this year and say that even looks like the same player. That's the biggest issue. And if the argument is, oh, well, he just wasn't the starter. He started the first ever SEC game for Texas. It's not the same pressure as being the starter and all the media. And we talked predictable what was going to happen with him this season. But you can just see the difference. Just go find the Mississippi State game from last year and watch it this week. And then come back to the chat and have a discussion about how different that looks. It's total opposite. And that's when your confidence is gone. Your ability and your talent isn't gone. Your confidence is gone. And that's what and I've seen a little bit on a couple offensive linemen too. I see hesitation, Bobby. And if you're hesitant on the offensive line, you get your butt whipped. I don't care who you're playing. If you're hesitant in your initial movement, you're going to get beat, period. So that's where I come out and look, Texas will improve when they get healthy offensively, but that is just going to mask some issues. They'll get better, but that's going to mask the issues unless something changes.
Yeah, something has to change. I think we all agree on that. My point in all of this is I think that it is centered around quarterback play at this point. Although I would say that he's not getting a ton of help from others, not to the level of I mentioned this. I mean, recall a couple games in Quinn Ewers' first year as a starter, Jerry. You remember the Oklahoma State game, right?
Yeah.
Well, don't forget about Baylor, where literally he didn't throw the ball in the fourth quarter, and they ran Roshan and Bijan the entire quarter. These games do happen to young quarterbacks. The problem that this Texas offense has right now, there's no Bijan or Roshan because your top two running backs were out on Saturday and two of your top four receivers. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of excuses that we can make, but those don't play.
No.
Gloria. Like I said, I think we're at a crossroads, and the time is now. I mean, and I do believe we can. So people are saying, oh, they can go score 60 on Sam Houston State. It won't mean anything. You're right. They could do that. But I'm telling you, it's in the how you score 60. If it's within the confines of the offense, if the offense the timing looks sharp, or at least way improved, all of those things will help you. Okay. And will carry over. And maybe that helps Arch get some of his confidence back. Maybe we see Emmett Mosley this week. Maybe we see Trey Wisner. Maybe that helps. But that's the sort of thing that we've got to see, or else I don't know. The problem I have with Arch right now is he didn't make throws that were there. You could argue that the throws weren't there to be had really against an Ohio State. But the miss to Parker Livingston over the top for a touchdown was there. Two different ways. The out to Parker Livingston for a first down on 4th and 3 was there. He didn't make the throw. The stop route to Ryan Wingo and Christian Clark, they were there. He short hopped it to the outside. And so fundamentally, that's got to change. And so how they do that, that's what I'm getting at with you guys. How they get back there and get back on track matters. Even if it could be 63-0 and it be ugly, and then it's not worth a thing. It could be 63-0, be pretty, and then it does matter because it starts to show what Jerry's talking about, that confidence returning. That's my rant. That was a 48-hour buildup, by the way, from from what we saw on Saturday.
Well, we have Marcus Myers joining us here in just a moment. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, absolutely. John Donovan, president of Longhorn Wealth Management Group, sponsors coffee and football Monday mornings. John's a proud Texas Ex's Life member whose wife and 6 siblings are also UT grads. It's his family passion that led John to brand his firm, Longhorn Wealth Management Group, and dedicated to providing investment, retirement, life insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to Longhorn families and friends across the nation for more than 30 years. John was a little frustrated by the performance by the Longhorns last Saturday, but at least the team got a W. He's predicting a rebound game for Arch and an ultimate victory over Sam Houston State this weekend. To celebrate UT's last win and a prediction for another one this week, John wants to offer all OTF fans the opportunity to take advantage of a free 90-minute private consultation to learn how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. Call John and Longhorn Wealth Team 972-707-4900 or go online, www.longhornwealth.net. That's 972-707-4900 or www.longhornwealth.net.
All right, guys. Well, as I said, Marcus Myers joining us this morning. I'm going to bring him in. Good morning, Marcus.
Morning, Blake. How y'all doing?
We're doing great.
Doing good. How about yourself, Marcus? What'd you think? I saw you listening in backstage. What'd you think of Jerry and I's little morning opening there?
Yeah, man, it's fair. Like I think one of the biggest challenges is I don't think any of us saw this coming. Right. I know there's always these questions of, what are your sources any better? Right. I went to some of the practices. I've seen some of the scrimmages. It didn't look like this. Right. And so it's really challenging to figure out what the root of it is, what it boiled down to, and in my estimation, to some degree, I feel like, for Arch, some of the expectations may be getting to him a little bit. And he's human. Right. So I understand that. And I know that as a fan base, it's also equally challenging because you're like, well, these guys are getting paid, right? But they're still people, and so he's a flawed player right now. There's a bad brand of offensive football that's being played right now, and it's up to Sark and those guys to figure it out. We don't, I get it. People are passionate and they want to say what they want to say, and that's fine, right? But at the end of the day, what'll have to happen in that building is these guys are gonna have to rally together and come out there and figure out some solutions.
You've seen this, Marcus. People go through tough spots as an offense and as a quarterback. Is it Arch's confidence that you think is shaken? Is that part of it? Or is it the personnel around him not necessarily picking him up like maybe they did for Quinn Ewers with Bijan and Roschon?
I think it's got to be a combination of all of the above. You can't, Bobby, we make these, correlations, Jerry and I, a lot to basketball. It's like a shooter in a slump. He just hadn't seen the ball go in the hoop this year for whatever reason. And it's not, I think the thing that is really troubling for me is it's not the big throws. It's not the ones that are in the tight windows. I'm seeing him miss crossers, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing him miss
Marcus,
the throws that should be the layups, right? And so for me, that says, okay, he has to be in his head. And so I know when Sark says that post game, people are quick to try to kind of write that off. But what else would you attribute it to? I do not believe he's injured. You've seen Sark get pretty bristly when that question comes up. But beyond that, you're not running a quarterback in the fourth quarter against UTEP on a design run if he's hurt.
That's right.
So I think it's something going on between the ears. Yep. And I do think the other guys got to step up. Some of it, Bobby, I think could also be, we've talked ad nauseum a good bit about, the different starters that have been down. So maybe these are the guys that, he was relying on. These were the guys that when he was in the huddle, they were, telling him what they're seeing out there. And now you have younger, inexperienced guys that can't do that. But at the end of the day, when you're the quarterback of any school, but especially at the University of Texas, I've said it a lot, heavy is the crown. And so he's going to have to raise his play. His teammates are going to have to raise his play. Otherwise, we're going to be wasting a championship-esque defense this season.
Yeah, Marcus. So we hit on the concerning parts. So I'm going to ask you, James Simon got his first sack. There's some positives amongst the really bad offensive play. James Simon got his first career touches. What do you think of him? And I know that Texas defense is very vanilla because they can be, but kind of what are some of your thoughts on the defense right now? Because I'll say this, the one thing that is getting lost in Arch's performance, Colin Simmons only played 30 snaps Saturday. He didn't register anything. He wasn't in the box score other than participating. So kind of what are you seeing defensively that you like, and maybe something with Collins, some thoughts on Colin right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys are still flying to the ball. To your point, Bobby or Jerry, I'm sorry, they are playing a very vanilla brand of football. You're not seeing a ton of exotics. You're not seeing, blitzes coming from all over the place. I think they're really wanting the guys to focus on their fundamentals and go out there and dominate. And so at this point, I don't really have any concerns about the defense. I do like the fact that Grayson Littleton got his hand on the ball. I like, Jelani has kind of been one of my favorites, all coming into the season. So I like that, he's stepping up and doing those same things. And so I'm still, hopeful that as the season progresses, if you're sandbagging it all, it's largely on that defensive side of the ball and, saving some of that stuff for conference play. When it comes to Colin, I think it may just be a thing of, look, you're starting to see some of these guys drop a little bit. You've seen him have some issues with some of the penalties. Let's not risk it, right? Like let's get him some reps, but to some degree, you kind of know what he can do. I have been interested to see that. I haven't seen his hand in the dirt as much, for as much as talked about that. He's back in his 2-point stance, so maybe that's a result of, hey, we tried this. I'd have to go back and look at where his penalties were coming out of, where those, with his hand in the dirt or in his 2-point stance. But maybe it's, hey, let's just get these guys back comfortable with what they're doing. And then lastly, Jerry, you talk about James Simon. I think he's going to be a stud, man. The kid really went out there, performed well. It didn't look too big for him, right? And that's what you want to see. You want to see your young guys come in hungry, and as soon as they get an opportunity, they're out there and running. So it was very impressive for me to see. I didn't see any blown assignments on his end from what I could tell, and it looked like he was someone that met the moment. You need more of that right now.
You definitely need more of it. You mentioned Grayson Littleton getting his hands on the ball. That made me smile a little bit. James Simon having some run. Marcus, as we look at the psyche of this team, you've been on teams. This is kind of interesting, right? Because when the defense dominates like they have been and the offense sputters, here's my concern, is that this carries on for 4 or 5 games, and then it becomes an internal team problem. Like, how come the offense isn't keeping up its end of the bargain? We're not there yet, I don't think. I mean, I want to be clear about that. We're not there where the team's having internal strife over it. But is that something that you worry about from a psyche of a team if that keeps up?
You worry about that if you don't have a strong culture and good leadership. Right. I feel like you have some guys in there. I don't see a Michael Taft allowing that to happen. Right. I don't see some of the guys that have been there, seen some things, especially in the earlier years where, we're still working to turn the corner. To your point, I've seen versions of it happen. I was on the team that lost to Washington State. And so I think what ends up happening is more times than not, you begin to rally together. So whether these guys were reading their press clippings or not, I can't tell you, right? But to whatever end, they know what's being said about them right now. And so I think what will tend to happen more times than not is the defense wants to say, all right, we have to do a little bit extra now. And not outside of their body, not outside of, the scheme or the plays that are being called, but they know that it's incumbent upon them to help stable the boat right now, to, plug some of these holes. And so I'm not really worried about, that, Bobby. Again, if this progresses over time and there isn't that strong leadership, then sure. But again, if I have a CJ Baxter and a Trey Wisner, even if they're hurt right now, right, or working through some injuries, and I got a Michael Taft on the other side of the ball, I don't really foresee there being issues in that end. I mean, even an Anthony Hill, right? Like he's a junior, but he's played a lot of balls. So I think if anything, these guys are just going to be challenging each other that much more in practice and doing everything they can to stay together because they hear the noise. There's no way they can avoid it.
Yeah, I think it would be great to have a Baron Sorrell on this team or a Vernon Broad, guys that Jake Majors, guys that had seen the 5-7 season. There's not a lot, to your point, Marcus, that have seen what I would call true despair, right? And that have bounced back. And so these younger guys and younger team is going to have to find inside that element inside of them and go from there. Blake, you had some super chats you wanted to get to?
Yeah, we can ask a couple of those. Let's see here.
Well, I got one question for
go ahead,
Marcus,
Jerry.
because I think the chat wants to know, Marcus, when you and I go to a basketball game in the Moody this year, which pair of shoes behind you what's the pair that I said you have to wear one of these pair to the basketball game with me? What's it going to be?
I was looking around.
No.
I have a specific one I like to wear to Longhorn games. It's a custom pair of some Air Max Pattas that I had a guy do for me. It has the cowhide on them. So I tend to wear our colors to games. But of the ones back there, I got a all black pair of Travis Scott 1 lows. So that tends to go with most things.
Be in the Moody this year.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have a super chat from Lock and Horns. Thank you, Lock and Horns. It says Arch is one problem, offensive line another. It seems like Baxter going out made us abandon our scheme for zone read, and the offensive line looked passive and then decisive. What is y'all's thoughts, or what are y'all's thoughts?
I don't know. I'm always very hesitant to try to dive into scheme, right? Because now we're assuming I know what play was called. I will say that the problems are beyond just the quarterback. So I want to make sure it's clear here, right? We have an issue at quarterback right now. That's not something I think any of us are trying to avoid or put lipstick on a pig, if you will, right? But there's other issues too. I fully expected. I think we talked about it, Bobby, on Friday at the co-op. What I wanted to see for a defensive line that moved around a lot. Rod was talking about, their numbers coming in. I wanted to see them come out and hit somebody in the mouth. Football is about winning one-on-one battles. And for me, I want to see guys getting drove to the stands. And I guess I wasn't seeing that, right? So I think when that happens, when your guys aren't winning these one-on-one battles, when you have some of the inexperience, when you have a Brandon Baker still out there trying to figure it out and some of those things, you can't call necessarily the exact same plays that you will. Now, that being said, when you get a hard charging guy coming in like James Simon, I mean, it can clean some of those things up. So I can't honestly say if it's a scheme thing and that's resulting in some of the indecisiveness. But I can say that for me, I know when you're a younger guy, and quite frankly, in anything in life, the things that you aren't as confident in, you're going to be a step slower. And so I think as these guys continue to come along, what we would want to see is that they're not really thinking. They're just out there playing ball and they're out there fighting. Tony talks about it all the time, but that's what it is. It's a fight in the trenches. Nothing about that should be pretty. And I haven't seen enough of that just yet. So I'm hoping that over time, that's what they're getting. I can guarantee you in that practice tomorrow, they're going to be out there popping some pads. And I would hope that offensive line is beginning to take it personally as well.
Hey, Marcus, I see a little lack of confidence on a couple of guys on the offensive line, similar to what you see a little bit with Arch. And if you're hesitant at all on the offensive line, you're getting beat bad. And I see a little bit of hesitancy, which is more or less lack of confidence in what you're seeing and doing. Are you noticing some of that?
Yeah, I mean, again, if we talk a lot about seeing guys that play faster than maybe what their number, says in a 40 time, right? And then you can have the inverse of that if you're in your head. I mean, if you're still, wondering a bit about, man, why Why isn't it going the way it should be going? Or why aren't we doing X, Y, and Z? You can't move as quickly. You can't just react, right? You're really thinking in football. You don't really have time for that.
No.
You're snapping a play. Once the ball snaps, it's a whole bunch of car crashes that are going on out there. So I do think that the guys are there's something that they're questioning, whether it's within themselves. I've seen articles, starting to, really kind of make that larger drumbeat of whether or not, a play caller needs to be brought in, an OC, where Sark can focus on some things outside of just the play calling. So it could be any number of things that, these guys are kind of running through their head, because again, I'm sure a couple of them find ways to avoid social media, but it's pretty damn hard. They got family, they got friends. Anywhere they go on campus, somebody's going to have a question. That used to be the craziest thing to me. I would have people come ask us questions like while you're sitting in class, and I'm like, bro, I didn't ask you how did you study for your test or what are you preparing for in your job. But this is what happens, and especially in this current environment where social media is bigger than ever, they're getting paid. Like, stuff is coming, their way from all angles.
Good stuff, Marcus.
We got one other super chat I was going to ask Marcus here. Let's see here. Jeff Carey says, looking down the road, can we get into the playoffs? I think he means with an A defense, an A special teams, and a C offense, assuming the special teams continue to improve.
I'm a no.
Yeah, I'm a no too. I don't want to talk about playoffs right now. I'm sure you'll get to it, Blake. The poll came out yesterday. I was shocked we're inside the top 10 right now. This is I'm not saying they can't grow to be that. This is not a top 10 football team right now.
Yeah.
I think it has a top 5, top 2 to 3-ish caliber defense. The special teams are complementary enough to get them there. The offense has to pick it up. And so I think what you'll likely hear, and I'm sure, we'll hear from the media availability, it's a little bit of everybody. Absolutely. But until I see some consistency, until I see these guys go out here and dominate some of these games, I mean, again, I'm just not used to seeing us not put pedal to the metal against teams we're supposed to beat, right? Like, I can kind of find ways to be okay with what happened at Ohio State. That's a different level of personnel. But what you're about to see in the SEC, for all the troubles that Florida has had, they're better than all these teams we played, not named Ohio State.
And Marcus, I said this last night, that Texas offensive output yards-wise, for what it's worth, was the least UTEP had given up this year. They played Utah State and UT Martin. And UT Martin had a drive late. But that is, amongst other things, is awfully tough to stomach, that you couldn't muster more offensive yards than UT Martin and UT State against UTEP, who's still not a good team. I like the coach. Not a good team. Like the coach, but that is quite alarming, because it's not like Texas is not a ton more talented than Utah State.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, for the team, their goals are still in front of them, right? I can't control any of that. I don't know. I can't go out there and strap it up anymore. I'm not in the practices. I'm not in the meetings. So I guess what I'm saying is, for me as a fan, a former player, whatever, I'm adjusting my expectations in the sense that I just need to see it. My pops played football at Texas Tech. He always, used to tell me that he's, even though it's Missouri that says this, he always says he's from the show me state.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at now. I've tried to get there with the projections. I've tried to take what I've seen and extrapolate, okay, we can do this if kill all of that. I need to see it. Yeah. And once I've seen it, then I'm willing to believe it again. Take
the idea of playoffs out of your mindset and focus on the here and now. The team, we started this, and I said this, I feel like the team, and particularly the offense right now, is at a crossroads. They need to either figure it out or figure something else. I mean, do something else, because while the quarterback run game is nice, you can't major in that in the SEC.
No,
you'll get, your quarterback will not finish the season. And I think that's what Oklahoma's going to find out this year. But I don't want Texas to have to find that out. They've got to find something.
Well, we talked about that. Rod and I talked about that last night with it, because people are saying, well, you were talking about how Sark had to go to the QB run game a little bit in that game. But Arch isn't a guy that makes people miss. He takes hits.
Yes.
like he took one against UTEP on their side. And if that would have been, I don't know, Caleb Banks from Florida, or it was a D lineman that came over the top of him, and he kind of fell on his shoulder. If that had been one of those big SEC guys that are 6'4", 330 that came down on him, he may not get up from that hit.
Yeah.
Like Arch isn't a guy that's going to make people miss. That's the problem we talked about this. That's the problem with Arch. He's a tremendous athlete and a really good runner, but he's also a guy that takes hits. He's not slippery. So you can't have him. He's not going to survive in the SEC because of that, running a football. No chance. The guys are too big and fast, and you hit the ground too hard.
And there's different types of runners too.
Yeah,
Arch, for whatever reason, Arch kind of seeks out contact.
Yes.
Like he likes to lower his shoulder. And I think as much like there's elements of that you like, right? From a kind of Tebow standpoint, but like play with VY. Tell me a time you saw VY take a shot.
Yeah.
Like he there's just different types of runners that have, kind of a sleight of movement. They know how to slip blocks. Even Mateer, like I don't know, speed wise how they line up, but he looks faster. He looks like he has a little more wiggle, right? So again, I don't think that's something that they will long-term major in, but I think in the interest of just trying to figure something out, it's something they went to. I know Rod talked a bit about how, that could be a bit of a sign of a shift of things, but then also it could have just been, look, man, we can't compound these problems. Like he was having a tough time hitting the broadside of a barn for a bit there. So, you don't want to further hurt his confidence. So get him doing some stuff that he can have some success in.
Exactly right.
Come out and I'll just leave it at this. You kind of have to be where your feet are at any given time. They are where they are right now. The numbers, the tape, the big eye in the sky, it don't lie. All of it is saying, what everybody is seeing. They have to go out there and perform well against Sam Houston on Saturday night. And then you can figure out the rest. So I think you'll probably hear a lot of that today. People say it's coach speak and yada, 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 but it's true. If they don't go out there and perform this week, then Florida and the SEC, none of that matters. So they have to get out there. And you see it a bit across the country. There's different teams that play with their food a bit. Ohio State was doing it with Ohio for a while. It's not just Texas, but obviously that's what we're here focused on. And it's the big brand and the one that everybody, loves to love or loves to hate. So you're going to get that. And that's what comes with it when you sign up to put that jersey on the 40.
Marcus, thank you so much, buddy. We'll see you again Thursday night live stream with Coach Shipley and Rod Babers. I appreciate you very much, Marcus. Thanks for joining us, former Longhorn football player. Marcus.
See y'all later, fellas.
Welcome, buddy.
Hey, by the way, I think before we get to our read, let's follow up with this. What are y'all hearing during the week as far as practice goes? Is Arch performing the same way in practice? Look, if Arch looked like that in practice, he wouldn't be the starting quarterback at Texas. Let's just be real about that. So, no. And people, Marcus talked about being at scrimmage and some practices. We were out there too. What's happening on Saturday is nothing that – if the coaches saw that every day in practice, he wouldn't be the starting quarterback, period. That's just not what's happening. He's completely lost his confidence, and everything's breaking down. It's very concerning. Hope he gets it back.
All right, Bobby, let us know about Mint Mobile this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans other than going 11 for 25? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends for Texas football games, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why you can make the switch to Mint Mobile. It's the wireless plan I sent my son off to college with. With Mint, you can get the coverage and speed you're used to, but for way less money. And for a limited time, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling literally and financially. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer and your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/OnTexas. That's mintmobile.com/OnTexas. Upfront payment of $45 is required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer only for first 3 months. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees are extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
You got to read. Sorry.
You got to read.
Oh, I do. I do have a read. Ridge is my read. The Ridge wallet, one of the great, I think, inventions of late. With over 50 colors and styles, Ridge wallet isn't just functional, it's personal. Whether you want sleek back forged carbon fiber, a wallet that features your favorite NFL team, one that just matches your vibe, they've got you covered. Ridge isn't just about wallets. They create premium everyday carry essentials like key cases, suitcases, and rings, all built with the same sleek, durable design. No matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day free risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all products. Ready to upgrade your wallet and maybe your ride? For a limited time, only head to ridge.com and use code ONTEXAS at checkout for $10 off your order and a chance to win Ridge's biggest sweepstakes ever, a Lamborghini Huracan Sturato, Hennessy Velo, or $100,000 in cash. No purchase necessary to enter, but every dollar you spend gets you more entries. That's ridge.com and use code ONTEXAS. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them our show sent you.
I actually ran into someone up at the Dallas event that has a Ridge wallet and mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
They make really good wallet. It kind of changed how I carry my billfold. Yeah, Blake's got it too.
I gotta pull something up. Major, I enjoy this. We talk about this. I'm glad you guys are here. But if you're going to come on here and call me a liar, go find another channel. That's not what I do. So if you're going to come on here and say that's a lie, find another channel. All right, moving on.
What was it? What was the reference?
He's talking about the comment about Arch not being that bad in practice. If you're going to come on here and say I'm lying, find another channel. That's not what I'm doing. Don't accuse me of lying on here.
Well, we have some super chats I need to get to from this one from Alex Scully. And Alex says, I believe in Arch still. He seemed worlds better last year when he came in for Quinn, knowing he wasn't the starter. Saturday was a complete lack of confidence, which can be fixed. And if not, give Lacey a go.
Here's what I mean. People calling for Arch to be benched or what have you, or give him a week off and maybe he'll find his confidence that way. My history tells me you don't find your confidence by not swinging the bat. So I want to say that first of all. I mean, you don't break out of a slump by not going up and taking a swing. So I think that's off. I will say this as it relates to whoever the quarterback is. I don't really, and I'll say this, and I've said it forever. I root for the team whose name is on the front of the jersey. Okay, that's most important. And so, as Texas fans, I literally don't care who the quarterback is. That's not a rooting perspective for me. And so, whoever helps Texas beat OU and A&M, sign me up. I mean, I think that, I've seen this before at Texas, where one has a big name on the back of the jersey, and the one on the front is the one that matters most. And that's what we always got to keep in mind. But I don't see what I saw Saturday was very concerning. It's not time to make a move at quarterback, in my opinion. It's just not. It's not time. You got to give him more swings of the bat, and we have seen him better. We have, and he has practiced better. To Jerry's point, he's played better. Played better against not only UTSA last year, but also Mississippi State and whoever else. So I think there are limits here. What happened last year, though, I will tell you this: if you think about it, think of all the people he had surrounding him when he was playing for Texas last year. He had 12 draft picks on that team. You go into that game as the quarterback, all you have to do is steer the ship, right? Okay. He's the starting quarterback right now, and he doesn't have his top two running backs. He doesn't have two of his top four receivers. I want to say this. I mean, that can make you have a different point of view as a quarterback. You go from a complementary piece to the focal point, and you press. I think that's the idea.
And then our next super chat this morning comes from Fairweather Fans. And thank you for your super chat. It says, can you explain how these rankings work? The Cal quarterback is a 5-star, 10,000 times better than Arch. How are they rated the same?
We hit on that guy. I was watching the late night first game of the year, and I'd watched tape of him. I was watching their first. Oh, it was Oregon State. That's who they opened up against. That kid has a chance to be an elite player. He is really, really good under duress. Like he is really good. He is, and so far now, he hasn't been humbled yet, right? There comes a point in time, but the signs he's showing early, man, he is very impressive, and he's very impressive under duress. How accurate he is under duress, and he has the makings of a guy that can be really, really good based on what we've seen through 3 games. Nathaniel Loper asked this real quick. The chat's moving fast. Hold on. Nathaniel Loper says, any recruiting updates? Big visit weekend on tap. Texas is working on getting a few guys on campus right now. I think there are a couple of guys will show up, potentially committed elsewhere. Texas is working on getting Corey Wells on campus. They're battling Auburn and Ole Miss there to peddle Mississippi defensive lineman, who Texas very much wants to keep in the class. I think we're going to see a lot of commitments on campus this weekend, a lot of 27s. Derek Cooper did bump back his official visit to next weekend when Texas is off or has their bye weekend. It's going to be a big visit weekend. CJ and I, we have a thread started where we're going to be adding the names. But Texas is fighting to hang on to Corey Wells right now and hoping to get him on campus this weekend. It'll be interesting. I do think we're going to see some people pop into Austin that may get some recruiting fans excited, but we'll see. We're not going to mention that yet. It needs to kind of be confirmed later in the week.
And those players need to want that information out.
Yes.
I mean, we're not going to sit here and do that to them.
While we're on recruiting, go ahead and jump over to this super chat from Corey J. Should we be worried about Diabell's injury history?
Yeah, look, I mean, give
him the lowdown of what's going on, first of all.
Yeah. So Diabell is he's out for the rest of the season. I think when I was at American Heritage last Wednesday, I said this Friday. I said he was not there. He was at the doctor. I was kind of letting the family deal with stuff. I didn't want to put something out and start some firestorm on what's said on here on a video or something, and it leads to everybody wondering. But he is out for the season. At the time when I was there Wednesday, that was not known. I think that was feared but not known. Then a couple of South Florida high school coaches hit me on the day after that, Thursday morning or in late Wednesday night. Actually, it was Thursday night, and we're like, "Hey, we're here, and he's out for the year." And then you saw the backup quarterback, which is crazy in the state of Florida. The backup quarterback from Miami Northwestern transferred to American Heritage. I can play immediately. That's wild to me in high school sports, but it is what it is. But Diabell's out for the year. I don't believe it's a arm or shoulder thing, and I don't believe it's a knee thing or anything from last year. So I'll let you guys go from there until the family says something, because Diabell did not say what his injury was on his Instagram release. But I do not believe it's shoulder or arm or elbow. I do not believe it's knee or lower leg.
But you don't are you concerned about his injury history overall? Because he did get injured last year, but this
in the playoffs,
yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had non-contact injuries where he's just going, down. So, I mean, anytime somebody's hurt 2 years in a row, I think it's easy to say that, but we'll see long term on that.
Well, I hope you have the lampshade ready. We got one from Fairweather Fans, another one.
Should I wear the tushy instead?
Yeah, you can put tushy on. There you go. That'll work. That'll suffice. Fairweather Fan says, with NIL, how much will season results impact commitments? Seems like Miami and FSU are good. Will probably challenge us in Florida. Texas A&M is back, and so is Oklahoma. Since we are paying, should we be as worried?
No, I don't think Texas fans need to be worried. I mean, look, Texas is 2-1, ranked 8th in the country. Okay, now do they belong at number 8 in the country? Do people see warts all over Cinderella right now? Yes. But let's tap the brakes a little bit on that. I think that Texas has a lot of football ahead of it. There's still time, but I'm not as worried about recruiting anymore in the current year. What these results typically will portend are the next year's recruiting class.
Yeah.
Historically, because you got to remember, A&M, OU, a lot of those guys already have 20 plus commitments. There's not a lot of space there for those teams to deal with. So I'm not as worried about that. For the fans, thank you very much for the super chat. By the way, I always love to see a toilet bowl on top of Jerry's head.
The Tushy. It was the Tushy. Since I didn't have to read today, I wanted to make sure people knew I do have the Tushy. And after Saturday, we need the Tushy.
Bobby, we got a super chat for you from Dante. He says Manning could go down as the biggest bust in college football history. Bobby, keep it straight with us. When will you jump ship on Arch? How bad does it need to get? It's already terrible. Florida or OU?
First of all, I agree with your initial statement.
I do too.
Arch is a bust. He would go down as the biggest bust in college football history because no one else has ever been built up like him. Okay. That being said, he's not going to be. I know people are saying, oh, well, you saw what happened I'm telling you, the guy's too talented. He will overcome these issues. When? I don't know. It could be a year from now where he works on something in the offseason, but he's too talented. He's not going to end up being the biggest bust in college football history. When would I jump ship on Arch? Well, I don't know. I can't give you that. I'd have to see it to understand it, so I can't give you hypotheticals. But I want to say this again. I don't jump ship on individuals. I'm worried about the team. And so when it's better for the team to have someone else take control of the team as quarterback, that's when I would jump ship. But I don't consider it, quote unquote, jumping ship on the individual. I consider it in the best interest of the team, Dante. I hope that makes, I'm literally not evading or avoiding your question. I know it sounds like I kind of am, but I'd have to see it to understand it. I can't really create a hypothetical in my mind, but you know it when you see it. I remember when James Brown took over for Shea Morenz in 95. And Shea Morenz was the number one ranked quarterback in the country, and he was the perfect player for John Malkovich's pro-style offense. Yet James Brown came in and they beat OU. And that's when the worm turned. And so I don't know when it is or when it might be, but I feel like until I see it, only when you see it do you know it. And right now, but I don't think he's going to be the biggest bust in college football history. I just don't. I think that he's in a slump, a bad one, like a Jose Altuve 0 for 24, swinging at pitches 5 miles off the plate. Yeah, that kind of slump.
Yeah, and by the way, Charlie Ward had a tweet last night.
It's great.
And by the way, Charlie Ward's an unbelievable human. I got to know him a little bit because he helped with the Under Armour game when I was ESPN Under Armour. Then I went to the high school he was coaching at to see Alex Leatherwood. Charlie Ward's an unbelievable human. I don't know if you can find the tweet, Blake.
I'm looking for it.
I retweeted it, Blake, because I even commented on it. It was Charlie Ward gave Arch just the old arm around the shoulder tweet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, look, this happened to me. It will happen to many more after you. But
I think here you go.
Yeah, here it is. I know the feeling. I got booed and benched several times in 92. Keep putting in the work and trusting your work as you learn from these experiences. You have a Heisman in your future. Just keep growing from each game. That's the arm around the shoulder.
Yeah.
From a guy that's seen it, heard it, done it. That's a nice sentiment from Charlie Ward. Appreciate
Charlie
that.
Ward's a legit great dude, man. Great dude. I just getting to meet him and be around him a little bit. He's about as impressive as it gets, honestly. And I'm glad he's still involved in young kids' lives at some point. In some way.
And then we got a super chat here from Frantic Longhorn, who's quoting Tom Herman saying winning is hard.
I got to be honest. That's the first time I did think about that Saturday on the live stream, which is really bad against UTEP. I did think about that on the fourth quarter live stream.
I've said this. I want people on. The one thing that I will say about the offense, it lacked cohesion and cohesiveness. Yes. Do y'all realize that we're sitting here worried about how it sputtered out of the gate and how it had some issues in the middle of, whether it was passing issues, blocking, short yardage issues, all third down issues, all of those things reared their. You realize Texas scored on 4 straight possessions on Saturday? I mean, there were some elements that were redemptive. They just didn't carry through. There was no consistency to it, and how they accomplished it didn't look very appealing. They had a touchdown at the end of the half, right? Arch took the ball in after dropping back to pass. Then they had 2 field goals out of the half, followed by a touchdown. So, take it for what you want. They did do some things right. They're just not doing enough. No. Not nearly enough.
Let's see. Before we move on this morning, I need to tell everyone about Prize Picks, because we make decisions daily, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And with football now here, it's time for you to make that money. It's simple. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get it right, you can cash in, win up to 2,000 times your money. It's the best way to get in on sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and of course right here in Texas. And it's Monday night, which means I'm all over the NFL action. I'm going with Justin Herbert having more than 1.5 passing touchdowns, Baker Mayfield to take less than 2.5 sacks, and CJ Stroud to have more than 11.5 rushing yards. So come join me on those picks or make your own. It takes less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTEXAS. They're going to give you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, we got more super chats to jump into this morning. Wallace K says, I know Rod suggested a sports psychologist for Arch. I was thinking Bob Rotella. He helped Tiger get his swing back.
Well, that's what Rod and I were discussing last night. I look, being a quarterback it's different because you have 11 guys helping you, but the fishbowl you live in is similar to being a pro golfer. And the pressure that's on you because there are a lot of times the quarterback is blamed for losses, even if he shouldn't be. And I'm not talking about Arch right now. I'm just saying in general. I do think there's an element of that here. I agree with Rod on that, honestly. Whatever it takes to get your confidence and your mindset back, because when your confidence starts to go, everything's going to break down.
I just got to say this. I mean, psychologists I have nothing against them. I've been doing myself, right? I will say this: different people work through things different ways successfully. Some with them and some without them. Yeah. And so I would say that we shouldn't be the one prescribing that therapy. It needs to come from people who know him best.
Yeah, and whatever he needs is my thing. Whatever he needs to get his confidence back, whatever that is.
And then we got a few super chats regarding Arch and Sark. I'm going to read y'all a couple of those, because we kind of answered Kate Stewart's back when Marcus was on. He said, good morning, OTF. Surely Arch is making these throws in practice, right? If not, Sark is hurting this team by being too loyal. And then Bald Father Bet says, no way Sark saw this coming either, right? Has he been through any of this with his previous quarterbacks from a mental side? What game plan helps him break out?
Man, I think a more base defense helps him break out. I really believe that when it's hard, when you get confused as a quarterback, isn't that hard? I mean, can you imagine playing in front of 100,000 people if it's at Ohio State or in DKR, wherever you're at? I think that he will get better the less confusing a defense is to him. The more he starts seeing what he thinks he's going to see. I don't know. I think that's part of it. I will say this to Marcus's point, and from everybody I talk to, what we've seen against UTEP is not what they see in practice, guys. It's just not.
No.
And so I had heard he had really good Monday and Tuesday practice last week, then had a poor Wednesday practice. So I can't. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he would be the starting quarterback at Texas if he played like this every single game, because I don't think he would be. But obviously, Sark's not giving that away in practice. I mean, he wouldn't make him the starter of this team if it happened that way.
And then on the same note, KD35, I am the best, says, does Sark want to continue to be the coach at Texas, or is he too stubborn to make changes to make the program better? Same issues week after week, red zone, etc. It's getting extremely frustrating.
You know, they had a little more success in the red zone, though, this week. And I do think that Neil Brown is having some input at this point in the red zone with QB run game. So we'll see how that goes. And I want to say this, KD35, that belies what you're saying. If he's reaching out to people for red zone help at this point, he is making changes. And I think Sark and most coaches are inherently stubborn. I even tell this to Bob Shipley and Brian Irwin, right? Our own coaches. They are inherently stubborn because they've been taught to be, because they know what works and how it works, et cetera. And so introducing new things can be difficult at times. Okay. Because look, I won a state championship this way, or I got to the college football semifinals this way. I mean, there's a give and take there where the coach himself has to find that happy median between how do I marry what I know to be true with what I want to introduce new. And I mean, if he's leaning on Neil Brown a little in the red zone now, that's new. That's leaning on someone.
By the way, TJ Days, this is a great comment, I think. Sark needs to use James Simon in the red zone as the red zone back. I agree with this. I think he's got real quickness and natural quickness as a running back. I'm not talking about elite shifty quickness, but real instinctive quickness as a running back in the box. And I think he runs with leg drive and some anger on contact. I would absolutely give him a shot in the red zone starting Saturday. I would give him a shot. I think the way he ran, it really is something Tyler said, just pissed off, whatever you want to call it. He's got a little oomph in those legs on contact. And he threw a stiff arm at somebody with a purpose, not just to throw a stiff arm, but with purpose, tried to in that game. I really like James Simon, and I agree with that.
A few more people with some arch comments or some offensive comments, such as DJ Alexander says Texas needs to go against the Cowboys defense to gain some confidence.
Well, they are Saturday. They're called the Bearcats.
Jay Lee believes it's time to get the uncles involved with Arch. And let's see here. Burt Reynolds says when Arch makes it through the valley of the shadow of death, he'll be damn near invincible. And so,
quoting the Bible. Here we go.
Yeah.
We got one from Terrence, says the media's hype has gotten the best of Arch and he's trying so hard to uphold the hype and he's playing tight. Just his opinion. And then one other opinion on Arch, this one from Naaman Roberts. He says, let's be honest, 2010 Gilbert was the issue and 2025 it's Manning. 5 and 7 is on the table with this.
I will say this. I think sometimes, and I'm not saying he's Naaman's wrong, but I think sometimes we forget how bad Gilbert actually was that year. 10 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. But I will say this: if you look up in mid-November and you have 15 touchdowns and 16 or 17 interceptions, then it is on the table, more than likely.
Yeah, you can't run from stats. I want to say that, and he is more elusive and has a better pocket awareness than Garrett Gilbert ever had, by the way.
Yeah.
Even in this, even the way he's playing right now. I just wrote this to a friend of mine. And part of what I think people are missing with Arch. Arch is a young quarterback, and I don't think he can be the focal point of the offense. People thought he would naturally be, they predicted him to win the Heisman, Jerry.
Which we said was ridiculous.
But they predicted him to be the focal point of the offense. I don't think you can ask him to be the focal point of the offense. And on Saturday, he was without 4 probable NFL players if Cedric Baxter's knee gets better. Trey Wisner, Cedric Baxter, Emmett Mosley, and DeAndre Moore. All 4 possible NFL players. Okay? That he needs others to lift him up, in my opinion. This is the year where he clearly can't be the focal point, and he was asked again on Saturday to be the focal point. When he's not asked to be the focal point of the offense, I think the onus on his shoulders may relent or release a little. And I hope for his sake, Texas gets healthier in the process, right? As Texas gets healthier, hopefully some of that comes off his shoulders. And I was hoping it would happen during this 3-game stretch where Texas could get going, but it hasn't. And so now we're not looking at Cedric Baxter being healthy until Florida, by the way, is what I'm hearing. So it's tough.
So no, Dave, actually, I think he maybe, I don't know what you said, Bobby, that I was reading the chat, but CJ Baxter has a hamstring right now. Somebody's thinking knee, but no, it's not knee, it's hamstring. It's hamstring. Somebody's asking again about Diabell. All I'll say this on Dia, he did not come out with what his procedure is. I do not believe, and y'all can take for this what you want to read into it. I do not think it's shoulder. I do not think it's elbow. I do not think it's throwing arm. I do not think it's related to the injury he had last year. I do not think it's a lower body extremity. But it is something that he needs to get taken care of.
And is getting taken care of.
Yes.
A pair of $20 super chats I'm going to read together here. This first one from Rocky P. Thank you, Rocky. The biggest problem I saw for the offense is confidence. The body language across the entire offense is bad. No swagger. You can see everyone is thinking too much. They look like a group of tight sphincters. They need to have fun. And then Menu 2 Sports with another take as well. And thank you. It says they're not consistent. Arch is taking the last play into the next. Sark told us about this in the summer. But Sark has proven that he doesn't say things just to say them. We will be fine. I'm not worried. Hook 'em.
Yeah.
All of that can be true.
Yeah.
Here's my point. It is what I would respond to that. Yet it doesn't change the outlook. Arch is not ready to be the focal point of the team. He needs others to lift him up. So whether that's Jack injuries and Jordan Washington and Trevor Gooseby and Cole Hudson okay, this is a challenge. And this is where I'm getting a little he needs other people on this offense to step up. He needs Ryan Wingo. Parker Livingston is doing it. Ryan Wingo needs to do it. You know, and that's not – Jerry went and went on this whole tirade last week about perimeter blocking. Well, here's the problem. Here's the thing I would say to Jerry and everybody else out there about perimeter blocking. Jerry's right. But it's symptomatic of an entire offense that needs to step up in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Everybody laying this at the feet of Arch Manning. It's an 11-team sport. Arch is missing some easy throws. Well, guess what? There's some easy blocks that are being missed. There's some other errors going on. There are some holes not being hit by running backs, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think there are play calls that aren't there.
And by the way, the first comment was, whether you played sports, whether you've just watched it your whole life, it's easy to see when there's a lack of confidence. And with that first super chat, there's definitely a lot. You can see it in some offensive line movement or lack thereof. I think there's a lack of confidence right now, and once you start to have that lack of confidence, things start to break down. And when things start to break down in this violent game, not violent, you know what I'm saying, physical game. Sorry, that's a bad term. Physical game. Then you're in trouble across the board. So that's the one thing I would say. I do see a lack of confidence at multiple places right now, and that it's not going to play on this schedule in the SEC. That's the one thing I will say, because the best players outside Ohio State that first game, the best players are on the rest of the schedule.
Bobby, before we get to our last few questions of the day, tell us about Longhorn Wealth Management Group one last time.
Yeah, absolutely. John Donovan, owner, president, Longhorn Wealth Management. As a proud UT alum, John served 15 years as the Dallas, Texas Exes chapter board member and is now helping lead the build-out of the Collin County Exes chapter. John wants to invite all Longhorn fans in the Collin County area to come out to the official game watching party Saturday at Dirty Birds in Plano. You can call or email John for all the details. John also wants to remind OTF fans that September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. So if you need to review your current life insurance protection and make sure your loved ones are fully protected, John is offering a free 90-minute private consultation to help you understand how working with a certified financial planner can help accurately analyze your life insurance needs to be sure all of your family's financial dreams will continue even if something happens to you. Don't procrastinate. Take advantage of this free 90-minute private consultation to learn how to successfully protect the future for you and your loved ones. Get started today. Call John and the Longhorn Wealth Team, 972-707-4900. That's 972-707-4900. Or go online, www.longhornwealth.net.
We got more super chats regarding Arch Manning.
No way.
Yeah, who'd guess? Blake here says, if Arch can just hit the open passes that were the past 3 games, Texas probably beats Ohio State and scores 50 the last 2 games. The offense will go as he does, but it's also not a monumental ask.
Blake, we talked about that after the Ohio State game. That was the troubling thing for me in that game, was missing the easy throws, and that has continued. You just can't miss the easy throws. You can't miss layups in basketball. You can't miss the easy throws as a quarterback, because it's that causes lack of confidence on your offense. You got to make the easy ones. The pitch and catches have to be made, even if they're under duress. I mean, again, that was like the most concerning throw to me Saturday was the swing pass to Christian Clark. His last pass, it was 3 feet over his head from 6 yards. That was concerning to me. You have to be able to make the easy throws at this position. If you can't, how's the offense going to have confidence? How are they going to build confidence? I hate to say it, but that's just the reality of sports.
And then Orlando says, if UTEP's defense is challenging and confusing Arch, hold on to your seat. It's only going to get worse from here. This offense isn't going to keep any defensive coordinator up at night.
Once you get into Orlando, the issue is UTEP did play some gimmick defense that will confuse quarterbacks. So you're not going to get that as much in the SEC. You're just not. They don't have time to do it to every single team every single week. They'll change some things, but not fundamentally. I mean, UTEP came out playing they sent 3 guys through 1 gap on a pass rush. I think that you got to wait for that a little bit, bud.
And then this next one here comes, let's see, making sure I haven't skipped any here. From Dante, he says to attempt to compare ex-players to Arch is non-comparable in his opinion. Social media, transfer portal, NIL didn't exist in 92. The pressure is different.
There's truth in that.
I want to say this, and I want to say this for all these guys, especially quarterbacks in college football. These guys are making 7 figures a year now at the major universities. That comes with, and I don't think, look, and I'm one that thinks the players should be paid, and I do think there needs to be guardrails, but I'm also one that with that comes a different level of expectation from a fan base that's paying $200 for tickets. And I get what they're saying. I get where people are coming from on this, from the fan side of this too, with the increased expectations of it when guys are making now 7 figures at quarterback position. There's something that does come with that. Whether you agree with it or not, it's going to happen. And I would say this, it's not – how do you think Florida fans are feeling about DJ Lagway this morning? And it's not excuses. He threw 5 interceptions at LSU. He drives – he's making 7 figures. I mean, so there's something that comes with this nowadays. These guys have they're feeling the pressure of being pros, and they're not pros. And that does come with a different level of pressure for these guys once they reach that level. And that's something else you do have to deal with. And the social media aspect is much, much different than what any of these kids have dealt with. So now your college quarterbacks have they're 7-figure guys in the social media, it being is what it is. It's impossible to live without social media is the problem, because these guys have NIL deals, so they're going to see things. It's easy to say, well, just don't look at your phone. Well, these guys have they have NIL deals. They're going to see things. It's impossible not to. But there's a lot of pressure that comes with being these guys now, and it's and I'm not saying that excuses bad play. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying there's 2 elements of added pressure nowadays for these guys. And it's what everybody wanted, and it's going to come with the pressure. Increased pressure is coming with it.
All right, Tanner here. We're going to switch gears from Arch. Tanner feels like Connor Stroh needs to be benched. He says he looks out of place if Texas is going to be a run team going forward. Neto needs to play, period, says Tanner.
Tanner, I don't know that I necessarily agree with you. There's a reason Connor Stroh is starting. And that is just like there's a reason that Arch Manning is starting. Just like there's a reason, Ryan Wingo is starting, or Jack Injuries, or anybody else on that offense. So I don't think you can say that unequivocally. I just don't. I mean, I know you want that to be the fix or a fix to help things move along, but guys win these jobs in practice. There's a reason Connor Stroh's starting. You may or may not agree with that, but there's a reason.
But these guys have to get better too. So we want to.
I agree.
Yep.
The whole offensive line needs to get better, but that's another point.
Yeah.
And then Justin Daniel says, I know you weren't all the biggest Jaden Blue fans on this channel, but why didn't Tashard Choice recruit faster backs such as Caden Durham rather than have the much slower backs that we have?
Durham looks like a big miss to me, Jerry.
Yeah, look, so Caden Durham, Oklahoma messed that recruitment up. He's from Oklahoma City, was at Millwood High School, transferred to Duncanville. I think there was everybody thought he was going to end up at Oklahoma, and Oklahoma fans, I'm sure there's some on the channel that are really upset about how that one got messed up. But I'm not sure Texas would have gotten that one.
Because he was such an OU fan growing up, basically.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he had OU tattoo on his calves.
And now he's running for LSU.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. If I remember correctly. That dude is fast. He was legit fast in high school.
Then Kenneth here says, how much is Sark's home life affecting everything, such as new babies or a new baby?
I hadn't been through that in 20 years. So I have no idea. I don't remember.
Hard one to answer.
I blocked it out. I'm about to put my tushy back on.
That's impossible for us to know, guys. Impossible.
Yeah.
David Fight says $200 for a ticket. Jerry hasn't shot for tickets lately.
That's probably a fair statement.
Not against San Jose State or UTEP or Sam Houston State, at least.
That's a fair statement, David.
Against $200 for a ticket to go to Ohio State would be
Yeah.
for standing room only, David.
Yeah.
It all depends on who you're playing.
Yeah.
And then our last one for today comes from Rocky P. Thank you, Rocky. Appreciate it. People need to remember that 80 to 90% of our offense has got their first meaningful snaps together these last 3 games. They are seeing college defense for the first time while still learning each other.
So much truth in that. 8 new starters on offense. And the problem is they look like it. You know, I think that everybody needs to take a deep breath, but at the same time, be very aware that there are real issues on offense right now and not sweep them under the rug. And it's not news to the Texas coaches. I mean, they watched the same game that all of us watched. They're not immune to seeing balls be thrown in the dirt or somebody miss a block. I mean, somebody miss a running lane. All of those things happened, and they saw every little bit of it. This week's going to be big. I think that I mentioned it, and I think I'll say it again. At the outset of this show, I said, I think the Texas offense is at a crossroads.
Yeah.
They need to decide whether they're going to grow up and be a good offense brick by brick and build an identity, or this whole season's going to look like a mismatch of just ugliness, because they will get better defenses that will make them not be able to do anything.
Yes.
If you think Arch Manning in the run game is the answer in the SEC, I just got
no.
It ain't happening.
No.
It could be a piece of it, but it ain't the answer.
Yeah, that's not the go-to, and Sark knows it. Hey, so we haven't even brought this up because of all the discussion of the show today. Sark pressured 11:30 this morning. So I want to ask the chat something, then come back to the live stream tonight with Rod and those guys. What do you want to hear from Sark today? What for the chat there? There's thousands of people on here. What do you want to hear from Steve Sarkisian today at this press conference? And then come back tonight and let's talk about what we heard with Rod and the guys.
Well, we're not done talking yet. We got a couple more super chats.
I'm done.
Sugar Cane Daddy says, have y'all seen the new Heisman odds? The world feels like it's on its head from where we are 3 weeks ago. I have not seen them. I'll have to pull them up.
Well, Lenore Sellers got knocked out, and they had a bad loss. Their offensive, but he got knocked out on a targeting call. I guess he's probably in protocol. But I've not seen the new Heisman odds.
Carson Beck is the favorite.
And I'll say this. I didn't know Carson Beck had a bad season last year, like really bad. Miami's offensive line's tremendous. And he is playing – now he had 2 interceptions last game against South Florida, but they beat up on South Florida. Miami's playing really well, really well. He's got a chance. I'll say he's got a chance, but he's got to watch. He still threw balls up for grabs against Notre Dame, and see the Daniels kid made an unbelievable play on what is 99% of the time an interception. I still got to wonder with Beck, is he not cautious enough with the football for that? But we'll see. I mean, Miami looks really good right now.
Dark horse is Diego Pavia for that award.
Yeah.
I mean, he taking that team from the outhouse to the penthouse would be something else.
By the way, so I love this, and I love all fans from all sites coming in, but I got to have some fun with you. Boys spent all that money on NIL, and Texas is trash gig 'em. I mean, your 2022 class.
Dude, what do you think they spent in the portal on Concepcion and Craver? And
I just spent the 22 class. I mean, that's kind of –
yeah.
I love it.
A&M talking about NIL is hilarious. I'll just put it that way. I mean, they've got 3 starting quarterbacks at other universities right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach Calzada's at Kentucky. Connor Wigman's at Houston. Who's the other one? God, I'm missing one. Literally have 3. I mean, don't go there.
But let's also say this: A&M's improved a lot offensively from last.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Notre Dame's not a bad team. I mean, I wouldn't shock me if Notre Dame doesn't finish 10-2 this year. They should on their schedule. Maybe at Arkansas is dangerous. Maybe they got a couple, but Haynes King, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Haynes King. That's that. Ran Rodriguez with the final super chat of the day says, do you guys think Sark is going to stop going for it on 4th down and just take the field goal? We have to start taking every points we can get. What do you guys think?
In conference play, yes. In conference play, yes. I think that he was so desperate on Saturday to get this offense moving. He was willing to throw it all out there, and he still couldn't get it moving. In conference play, you have to take the points. So yes, Rand, I think that he will once conference play rolls around. But on Saturday, I felt like in the first half, I don't know how you felt, Jerry and Blake. I felt it was a desperate plea to get this offense in sync and moving, whether it was creating urgency, creating opportunity, whatever it was about. Creating big plays, and they didn't answer the bell, in my opinion.
My response is we'll see. Because I think will he kick field goals or go for it on 4th? I think,
better if he's in the swamp and it's 0-0 and it's 4th and 2 from the 10, he better kick the field goal.
I agree.
Okay.
But we'll see.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. Want to thank them along with Prize Picks, Mint Mobile, and Ridge, all for sponsoring today's show. Bobby, what you got later today?
We got a bunch. We got lunch with the coach coming up. I'm going to talk to Bob Shipley and Brian Irwin about the game on Saturday, see what they think of it. Then also we have Sark at 11:30 this morning. Jeff, CJ there as well. We'll also have some live comments from Sarkisian as well as part of that. And then Jerry and I have Talking Ball later this afternoon, as well as Rod Babers, Bob Shipley, and CJ Vogel later tonight. We had a full on-deck show for you, or on-deck day for you here at On Texas Football. Please come join us and enjoy the coverage of your Texas Longhorns.
Ready? That's funny.
And don't forget to head on over to ontexasfootball.com. If you're not a member, use promo code OTFOG when you sign up, and you can get a full year right now for $39.95. That's for new subscribers only. OTFOG is the promo code at ontexasfootball.com. Well, we hope you have a phenomenal day today. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Welcome home.